Good afternoon. Thank you for joining the webinar. I'm Jeff Hunter with GPA Inc. And this afternoon we're going to be talking about VTS air handlers. So for those of you watching live, joining us live, thank you for joining. Looks like we have a good group this afternoon. For those of you that will be checking this video out after the fact, I am doing a recording of this. Those of us live, I've got a PowerPoint presentation that we're running through. Those of us watching it recorded on my channels, you're going to see that I'm going to add some images up to the top here of my whiteboard. So follow along through those images, and the recorded webinar is going to have some cool features to it. I'm going to take questions after the webinar offline from the presentation. But if you are watching this after the fact in the recorded version, you can reach me anytime. My contact information will be on the presentation, or you can reach me on my website, www.jeffwhunter.ca. Okay, let's get into it. If you've done any work with air handlers in the Ontario market, you're probably familiar with some of the manufacturers. If I asked you to tell me some brands of manufacturers, you could probably list a few, and they would probably be fairly local manufacturers, either built here in Ontario or maybe built somewhere else in Canada or maybe even in the US. If I asked you to tell me some names of manufacturers that build equipment for the broader global market, you could probably name a couple there as well. You might not be able to tell me to what extent they service the global market. You know, maybe they fit into some regions and not into others. Because it's a pretty limited playing field for air handling unit manufacturers that serve, you know, the global market. VTS is one of those players. That's where they come from. They're a global air handling unit manufacturer headquartered in Poland. And they have been since 1989. VTS has been quite successful in their business model serving the global market. They have become the #1 air handling unit manufacturer in Europe, and they owe that success to three key pillars. And so those three key pillars start with #1, building a quality product. Now I know a lot of manufacturers, probably every manufacturer, talks about quality in their product. But as a global manufacturer, providing products to all these different micro markets, it is of utmost importance that their product be of highest quality. You need to be able to compete with those local air handling unit manufacturers from a quality perspective, because you wouldn't last in that marketplace if your product is, you know, falling apart. And the second pillar there is price competitiveness. I mean, hopefully anybody can build a quality product if you've got enough money to do that, but it needs to be price competitive in that marketplace at the same time. So building a quality product while maintaining a competitive price is a very key pillar to being successful. Now, a lot of manufacturers will use a market-based pricing, and we see it here in Ontario where the manufacturers kind of price off of themselves to be the most competitive to win those jobs. VTS kind of looks at that a little bit differently, and they kind of have to because they're serving the broader market, is more of a cost plus pricing model where they look at their cost structure in the business and understand where they need to be from a profitability standpoint and build their market pricing or their price to the market based on that. But that means, though, that they need to be innovators in their manufacturing processes, in their logistics processes, to ensure they are as cost competitive as possible Otherwise, that's going to transfer to their market pricing, and it'll be out of whack. So first is quality, second is cost competitiveness, and then third is lead time. So again, they need to be innovators in their distribution model to make sure they are beating the competitors in time to market. And we've seen it here in Ontario already. A lot of manufacturers are just overburdened with work. That's moving those lead times up, and that can sometimes cause challenges. VTS is an innovative leader in their logistics and distribution systems. I'm going to talk about that here and how they go to market. They're able to provide lead times as low as 3 weeks in some cases. And so that allows them to outperform long-term players in many of these markets. So let's dive in here a little bit more. Looking at the slide that we have on the screen here now, just taking an overview of the production and logistics centers for VTS. Like I said, they've really innovated in their manufacturing and distribution model to make sure they're as cost competitive and lead time competitive as possible. They work off of a central manufacturing plant and then local distribution centers. So they build as much of their product as they can in-house. This ensures highest quality possible. So as many of the components as they can are built in-house. The components that they can't build in-house are sourced from the highest quality suppliers because they have to guarantee quality. And then they are shipped out and stored in local distribution centers. And then as orders come in, just in time, those distribution centers will assemble those products, build those products, and ship out to the sites. And here in North America, we're serviced by the Atlanta Distribution Center. I think just last year in 2018, or 2 years ago in 2018, they've expanded to over 100,000 square feet. They've been in the North American market now since 2013, so they're not new to this market, but you may not be as familiar with them here in Southwestern Ontario. Okay, let's dive into the product now. And with VTS, we're really talking about three model ranges or three configurations of air handler. It is all under the Ventus model line. So Ventus AVS is the largest unit. It runs from 800 CFM all the way up to 40,000 CFM. The AVS Lite runs from 800 to 4,000 CFM, and so does the AVS Vertical, just a little bit different configuration, 800 to 4,000 CFM. Some of the configuration options that we have are right or left hand inspection panels. These units can be fully assembled or delivered in sections. To my understanding, fully assembled in one piece on a curb-ready rail up to 172 inches long. Various inlet and outlet locations, so the custom configurations, and all of these units use the 2-inch sandwich panel design, which is a pillar component of the design of these systems. I'm going to get into that a little bit more. We can add energy recovery wheels or plates into these AVS air handlers, and all of the units feature the Aluzinc outer casing panels, which are salt spray tested to at least 2,000 hours. I think we're up to 2,400 hours, so that's a major differentiating point compared to some of the other products that we see on the line that might be number one, they might not even do the salt spray testing. So if they're a galvanized panel with a painted coating, I mean, I think they might get away with a 500-hour salt spray test, but if those painted coatings are scratched, that galvanized panel is going to rust. So some really high-end features here to the AVS. You can see the AVS Lite. Again, this is fully assembled, same sort of thing, right or left-hand inspections, various inlet outlet locations, and horizontal or vertical configurations up to 4,000 CFM. Again, here we can put in the crossflow plate or the energy recovery wheel in this setup. Now the last configuration we're looking at here is the AVS Vertical. I think the screen says Light, but this is the AVS Vertical. So the only difference here between the Vertical and the Light is in the Vertical we cannot get that energy recovery wheel or the crossflow plate. But still, we can get up to 4,000 CFM total capacity. The casing design is very unique to VTS, and this is a pillar component of their product line. So let's take a quick look at manufacturing of the casing. Okay, so that was a good shot of some of the manufacturing processes that go into making of this sandwich panel design. We're going to talk about that here a little bit. A couple of key points. The outer alu zinc panels are a 22 gauge metal. The interior is a 25 gauge. So probably a little bit thinner than what you're used to, but the construction of this panel with the rigid polyurethane foam and how that is formed creates incredible strength and rigidity of the panel itself. You can see here in these shots, I mean, there's no external skeleton on this system, and the external skeleton that you'll typically see in air handlers that's holding these panels together causes that thermal bridge, which we want to stay away from. So this panel is a no thermal break construction. There's no thermal bridge, because when you have that thermal bridge, you have your ambient air outdoors, and you have your temperature difference in the air on the inside of the air handler. If you have a thermal bridge there, you're going to get condensation, and that's going to cause you some problems in the material of that air handler over time. The VTS design doesn't allow for this, and further, the insulation material is featured with no humidity absorption tendency. So free from thermal bridging. The rigidity and the strength in the panel and the thermal resistance in the panel is due to the continuous baking process. So polyurethane foam in a panel is nothing new for manufacturers. What is different here is the way that the foam is filled in the panels. Basically, it's done layer by layer and heated to a consistent temperature at each layer to ensure an even setting of the polyurethane foam all the way through the panel. This makes sure that there's no bubbles and no air gaps. You can imagine if you're just inserting polyurethane foam from a couple of spots, injecting it into that finished panel, it's going to expand and to try and fill that entire gap, but there's not going to be a uniform expansion. You may have temperature differences going on that cause that foam to expand in different ways in different spots. Controlling that temperature and controlling that expansion ensures a complete fill of that panel. So the big advantages here, the baked foam in the panel, the 2-inch thickness gives you an R13.2 value. The deflection, panel deflection is L over 300 at plus or minus 10 inches of pressure. Leakage of less than 1% at plus or minus 8 inches of pressure. So this is full thermal break construction without shipping splits. The access panels and the columns all feature a advanced labyrinth gasket design. And when I think about labyrinth, I think about David Bowie in the 1980s movie The Labyrinth. This is, I guess, kind of like that, in that a labyrinth gasket creates this challenging path for the airflow or the media that you're trying to contain to get through, and makes it very impossible for that to happen. So these labyrinth gaskets are very effective at sealing for leakage and thermal break. And they finish that profile off with a bit of a blade sweep. So you can see here in some of the images, it's very tough to explain, but you just kind of got to look at the images and see the thermal brakes that they have, the labyrinth gasket, and the construction of the sandwich panels and how those all fit together in the corner, the additional labyrinth gaskets going through. So there's a lot of gasketing and sealing happening in these sections. Here's another shot of the internal framework here, and some of these blow-ups kind of give you a better shot of the thermal brake and the additional post sealing there. So a lot going on there, but this is what contributes to minimal air leakage, minimal thermal leakage for a high quality, high performance air handling system. So the VTS Air Handling Units, we already know from earlier discussion, the baked 2-inch polyurethane panels are a big component of this system. We talked about the sealing and the gasketing system. The VTS has an extensive sealing system using those labyrinth gaskets. The outer casing or the outer panels are alu zinc sheets. I think I mentioned earlier, exterior material is a 22 gauge material, interior is a 25 gauge material, so relatively thinner wall material, which leads to weight savings. But on the exterior we're applying this alu zinc AZ150, which we are going to talk about the performance of that coming up here. On to slide 30 here. Just some of the base supports. So the AVS 40 to the AVS 85 get a Z profile base support. The AVS 100 to 380 is a C profile, and there are curb ready rails for everything from 8 to 38,000 CFM. And galvanized steel supports are standard for all of these units. Okay, so first of all, let's take a quick look at a video if you're not familiar with what alu zinc is, which you might not be. Let's take a look at a video of manufacturing process for alu zinc and what it's all about.
Alu zinc is a premium metallic coated steel produced on a continuous industrial line. It offers excellent corrosion resistance with an attractive natural aesthetic. Alu zinc coating is composed of 55% aluminium, 43.5% zinc and 1.6% silicone. Alu zinc floralis comes with Easy Film, a chromium-free transparent organic coating. Fully recyclable, alu zinc respects the environment and offers key benefits including high corrosion protection in severe environments, a natural metallic aesthetic, guarantees up to 25 years and energy savings thanks to its high reflectivity. It has also been certified in France, Germany, Sweden and the United Kingdom.
Okay, so after the introduction from that video, it's great to see that. You got to ask yourself is why you wouldn't want to use alu zinc on all of your outdoor equipment, because it seems to perform really well, looks great, stands up over time. As you can see here from the corrosion chart based on the ASTM B117 salt spray test, it's got a rating of 2,400 hours. Just going to go to the next slide here. You can see typical materials. I mean, I've seen G60, G90 on competitive products. I think it's usually a painted G90. So if you look here, G90 equivalent to Z275, which gives it 162 hours salt spray test. But I think if they paint that, that's when they can get up to the 500-hour salt spray test is what you would typically see. For the alu zinc, you know, the zinc in the coating provides a bit of a self-healing sacrificial cathodic protection. So it's used in environments that are, you know, obviously too corrosive for hot dip galvanized steel and painted cabinets. And then you also get the benefit of added energy savings due to the reflectivity of the material. VTS manufactures and engineers their own composite fan wheels made of FRP, and they are capable of 10 inches of static pressure. These are extremely quiet and incredibly efficient fan wheels. The combination is even more efficient when you add the ECM forward curved fan configurations. The fan sections themselves, depending on the size of the VTS unit, you're going to use 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 fans. They're going to be driven by ABB variable frequency drives and Baldor premium efficient TFC motors. The Baldor EC Gold Series permanent magnet motors are also an option. Backdraft dampers are available, and typical voltages that you would see, single point power for the fans. Next slide here is just key components and their coils. Standard coils, hot and chilled water, DX heating and cooling, VRF coils, dual temperature coils, 5/8 diameter coils, high performance coils that are capable of reaching 50% propylene glycol for heating and 40% PG for cooling. Electric heaters, they can also do steam coils, internal face and bypass coils, intertwined DX coils, and the Blygold coating as an optional feature there. Electric heaters, I think I mentioned, can also be added in there. Energy recovery wheels. So technically, VTS uses Swiss rotor for their wheels. Now, they're kind of manufactured in-house because Swiss rotor is right next door to VTS manufacturing in Warsaw. So it's a seamless manufacturing process, in one door, out the other. They use those wheels on the 012s all the way up to the 170s, so up to 17,000 CFM. All of their wheels are monolithic total energy wheels, and they're all certified to HRI 1060, and they are all equipped with a VFD speed control. Now you can also get cross-flow plates with efficiencies up to 87%, HR 1060 certified. These are sensible only cross-flow aluminum plates with an aluminum extruded casing, and those sidewalls use the Alu-Zinc sheet steel. So the exchangers are silicon free. Filtration, obviously a big conversation these days, and VTS has launched some specific HEPA filtration units, portable units or ducted units or non-ducted, in a different series, kind of parallel to this Ventus lineup, or at least the Ventus lights. But here, with respect to their entire Ventus line, the filters, I mean, they can go 2-inch MERV 8, 4-inch MERV 13, MERV 13, 14, or 16 final filters, 12-inch MERV 13, 14, or 16 final filters. All their final filters are Camfil FAR Durafil 4V filters, because they have the lowest pressure drop in the industry. Initial pressure drops at 500 feet per minute of 0.33 inches, 0.37, and 0.80. So all filters meet UL 900 Class 2, and they also do have HEPA filters for these units and UV lights. Other accessories here, I mean, they can do roofs for outdoor units, so a drip edge over the door, extra protection, dampers, so they manufacture their own dampers internally, but then they also use Tamco 9000 for ultra low leakage dampers. They've got those curb ready rails that we talked about, so the curb ready rails allow the unit to sit over a roof curb or the roof curb adapter, and they have internal lifting lugs on them. Now, just a quick shot here of some of the applications here that these units are installed in, and the one that's kind of the feather in the cap is the original Tesla Gigafactory in Nevada. I think there are 300 Ventus air handling units at the Gigafactory, which is a really cool feather in the cap. And just some shots of typical applications here. Variety of installation applications, many different system configurations available, custom configurations available, short lead times. And again, this is all available through GPA and in Southwestern Ontario. I'm bringing that to market. So The local presence is GPA. We've been here since 1990. We're here to service and support engineering consultants, architects, contractors, students, building owners, anybody involved in the construction industry. This is what we do, and we're happy to discuss it. So I'm going to end that right now. I'm going to take the questions offline from the webinar. Anybody, because I want to encourage anybody who's watching this recorded, please feel free to reach out to me, jhunter@gpainc.ca, or check out my website, www.jeffwhunter.ca. I post all my resources there. Check it out. You can reach me there as well. And stay tuned for the next one. Thank you all for joining.